Oh, yeah. I like that chair empty. Oh, no. Well, the day is ruined. It's shot.
Sorry about that, everybody. Hello, everybody. Mike Griffith over there in the. What's going on with you,
On strike.
Mike? You don't believe in that kind of stuff. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
that's right.
That's
Never
right.
mind.
Mike Griffith over there in the Bakersfield or the Bako Motorsports Power Hour news desk, and I'm Louis Amestoy, the host of the Bako Motorsports Power Hour. Brought to you by the Bakersfield Californian. We've been covering racing since Mike Griffith was born, sometime around 1900. We've been covering this since the beginning. Show number 20, believe it or not. What do you? I think we looked this up at one point. The first race covered by the Californian was what?
Oh, we were covering races. I've got some stuff in a file. I know 1909, 1911.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of interesting history. Had a big 1 mile track out there by Salmon Ballpark at the time.
1 mile.
Yeah. A 1 mile
Okay,
track.
here we go.
Dirt.
How about this idea? Here's a crazy idea for you. Let's have a legends race, right? Along the bike path of the Kern River. We'll call it Legends Rallycross. How's that sound?
Yeah, I think that might upset a few people.
We'll just push. You know what? Push the bicycle people off for a week. Let's just run cars up it. That'd be a lot more fun.
Yeah, that might be.
That'd be bandoleros. Yeah, we can have a bandolero class. It could be a rally bandos. There you go. Very nice, Chris McCullough with that. A big show today for you. This is show number 20, as we mentioned. You can give us a follow on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. I need to do a better job with those things. They had that cool photos we ran on the Facebook page of Rick. Was it Rick Mears?
Rick Mears.
Right, Rick Mears and Roger Penske.
Yeah.
And one of Rick Mears' wife, one of his second wife. Chris, right.
Mears.
So that was kind of cool. That was from Felix. It was a Felix Adamo pictures, apparently.
Yeah, I think so. Back in
Indianapolis
Motor Speedway, where we used to spend the month of May.
You had to spend a month with Felix in.
Well, no, it was different photographers, and it was basically just a little over 3 weeks. But
John Hart was there too.
John Hart was there. Felix went back there. So, yeah, we'd go. Basically, that Indy coverage started out by going to the Indy 500. Then we decided, well, Rick's always, a threat to qualify for the pole, so we needed to be back there before pole day, and that was
right.
You get in there on about a Wednesday before the pole day, so you're there for basically 3 weeks.
So
longer if it rained.
Longer if it rained.
One year it rained, and the race wasn't one till.
So then you had to cover Long Beach too, right? Because he was there at
Long Beach Grand Prix. That was always fun. That was just down there 3 days. That was always fun, and covered Phoenix, Laguna Seca. So pretty much anything.
If you were to ask Rick Mears 5 questions, what would they be right now? Any ideas?
No.
Completely worthless. We also have all of our videos on YouTube as well. We have an expansive library of videos on Facebook and on YouTube, and those are growing all the time. And you can see some of these highlights on the Bakersfield.com. The Grumpy Griff Award, we're not going to do the fan vote again. We're kind of been in a little bit of a slump on that. We're kind of getting that put together. But Griff will announce his winner at some point today. Who are some of the guys you're thinking about?
Well, that's a good question.
Eric Richardson won both races.
Yeah, that might be Eric. First time that late model driver has won both races out there, and those are crash fests. So it's going to be interesting when Steve Hughes comes in and we can talk about that. And speaking of crash fests,
we have Daytona. We'll talk about Daytona here in a moment. Coming December 5th is our big special section to wrap up the end of the year. We're going to talk about ad rates here in the coming weeks, so you get an ad in there. A lot of great deals for you if you get your ads reserved between now and Labor Day weekend. And the All-Area Driving Awards will be a part of that. That'll be coming December 5th, so we're looking forward to that one. And now let's talk about this. I would say Wild at Daytona is probably underplaying it a little bit because this race did not start until midnight Eastern time, did not end until 3 o'clock, and then this little thing happened. Kaboom! I mean, that is just...
Yeah,
you said that earlier, that this was a crash that reminded you of Days of Thunder, where you have cars
you got cars flying,
right, running off.
I mean, that's kind of
here's Harvick's. Look at Harvick's car,
and this kind of started the whole thing off. This just you're running so close there, it just takes the slightest little nudge.
So did he nudge? I mean,
they were bumping there.
Yeah.
He bumped the back of him, I guess, and he got loose. And it started off. There's some great in-car footage coming up here as well.
Unbelievable.
It's but you got all these cars running 195 to 200 miles an hour.
So this is
close.
This is Jeff Gordon.
Yeah, and that's Harvick right in front of him and Jimmy Johnson, and that's from his spot. This is all right after the finish line, so it's kind of really bizarre. But this is what happens when you put 25 cars there, all fighting for basically, 400 square feet of space.
And this is the crazy one. There's Casey Mears right in front of him.
right there. And
did Tony Stewart bump Casey Mears?
He may have touched him a little.
Back that up, Chris, if you can.
Everybody's jostling there. He may have got into him.
Or did Casey just get loose?
No, Casey, there's a car that went 3 wide, so it kind of ran out of territory. Maybe the air just came off of him.
Jeez.
And the car flies right between Casey and Tony.
That's incredible.
Dylan, so just kind of incredible, and it set off a flurry of talk about safety, driver safety.
Right.
Obviously, driver safety is...
Here's Dale Earnhardt Jr., the camera from the back behind him.
Yeah, and the audio of that would be good, but...
Yeah, you can't really play that one.
Well,
we could.
We could play it, but let's say it was raw and unedited, because he was looking like you do much of this race. You look in the mirrors, and he's looking in the mirrors and seeing cars flying.
You can see him looking. He said, what the heck's going on back there?
Yeah, and then everybody instantly worried. I mean, that car was destroyed, and that Dylan was okay is a testimony to the safety of these cars. And a lot of talk about what can you do to make the catch finishes better so debris doesn't get through. And my answer is, if that's happening, debris is getting through. And I don't know, do you move the fans 50 feet back? Because when you have a bomb hitting a chain link fence, metal parts are going to fly. And so luckily nobody was seriously injured.
There's Hamlin going, or being spun around there by Harvick, or going around Harvick, and then you see how he'll kind of just careen back into this thing. Just, it's amazing that no one was killed, even in the fans. So Earnhardt is interesting. I find him to be one of the best reads on Twitter because he has a genuine respect and empathy for the rest of the drivers for the most part. I mean, it seems like, and he was genuinely concerned about what was going on behind him.
Well, I think everybody was, and I know Casey's crew while the car was upside down, and said Casey Mears' crew was the first people out there. They ran right out there before, because there was the closest pit box, and the entire Geico crew ran out there to be the first on the scene.
Yeah, we should have posted that picture. We actually posted that picture of Casey Mears' crew running out there to see how Austin Dillon was doing. It's a pretty remarkable photo. It's on our Facebook page. So actually, there's the video of it. You can see the Geico crew there getting out there to see how it's going, and everyone was checking in on things that's what they say.
And that quickly, the thumbs up. So I mean, that was a sigh of relief. Everybody.
You got burning debris and stuff.
Yeah.
And Dillon was hit twice because Keselowski hit him.
Keselowski, he was upside down on his hood and figured it was over, and he got tagged hard. I mean, nothing Brad could do there. He's just sliding through the grass, and just a scary, scary incident. And I'm sure there'll be talk, but it's what happens when you have pack racing. But they haven't figured out how to get rid of the pack racing at the two big restrictor plate tracks.
Yeah, there's the damage on Harvick's car.
Several years ago they got rid of it, and you ended up with that 2x2 where everybody paired up with somebody else, and so you had 2 cars running, then a space and 2 cars. That was the god-awfulest race I've ever seen, I think. So they got rid of that.
The suggestion is that Harvick's aggressiveness was the reason why this happened, but it's hard for me. I don't really see it.
No, that's Hamlin certainly made that suggestion, but if you look back much during the race, Jeff Gordon wasn't a real fan of Hamlin at multiple times during the race.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just it stems from aggressiveness, period. Everybody's fighting for 2 inches.
So this was an interesting deal. I mean, this was a Sunday night race. It was supposed to go off at 4:00 Eastern time, or 7 o'clock Eastern time in prime time, 4:00 in the West against
the World Cup.
Women's World Cup, which got record ratings. It ended up being delayed for hours, NBC stayed with it. They ended up showing it at about 8 o'clock Eastern or Western time and Pacific time, and then it didn't really even get started until midnight back east. And then
it started around 8:30, 8:40 or something. Ended at about 11:40 our time, 11:45.
And so, this is what people were looking at for the most part was this. And
during the day, this is
and that
I guess there was a reason for I don't know the reason for running on a Sunday.
By the way, I put this in there for Blake.
Yeah, those air Titan dryers, those things are pretty good. But I'm not a fan of you race on a Sunday with everybody having to be working on Monday, but they don't want to race on they've got off racing on July the 4th if it falls on a Saturday. I understand.
Why did they run on a Friday night?
Because then when did they put in the Xfinity cars? They ran them on July 4th, true. And there were plenty of crashes in that, as we'll talk about later.
All right, well, Harvick did finish 4th in this race, still first in the Sprint Cup standings. He would be second on the grid right now because he doesn't have, I think...
he's 2 wins less than Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson's got the wins. Mears was 11th. He's still sitting in the 21st in the Sprint Cup standings. But a good finish for Casey Mears, and he's consistently in the top 11, top 12 of the deal. I mean, he's been good at Daytona.
Yeah, he's been good at the restrictor plate races, and he was up there. He could have finished 11th. He could have finished 5th. Could have finished 25th.
Right.
That's right there at that last couple laps.
All right, they race in Kentucky this weekend. So does the Xfinity on Friday night. Ryan Reed finished 13th at Daytona. Got involved in a little wreck, and He's there. He's always there. He's always in Kentucky.
Yeah, he was running second for a while in that race, and then slipped back to like 4th or 5th, and there was a wreck, and he got caught up in that.
Right.
Ended up, I think that he was involved in the next to last wreck.
Right.
But anyway, the car wasn't so severely damaged that he couldn't finish, so he salvaged a 13th place finish. There were only 9 cars on the lead lap at the end of the Xfinity race, which, there's a lot of crashes in that one as well. But it was a big racing weekend. You had Formula One. Hamilton won the Grand Prix in his home country in England, and you had the drag racing going on with Fast Jack Beckman getting the win in Funny Car and Doug Coletta in Top Fuel.
He had an all women's final in the motorcycles too, which is interesting as well.
Yeah.
It was it was the one thing. It was actually USA didn't staff it this weekend. I guess because maybe the 4th of July, so I didn't have any photos to show from the NHRA this weekend. But it was fun following Fast Jack Beckman, who we've talked to many times through our interactions with the March. I mean, he's a huge NHRA historian and funny drag racing historian. So it's fun to talk to him. I'm going to have to ask Scott Schweitzer when he gets in here, like, what would be his favorite piece of equipment to have? We know that Blake Bowser covets the Titan air dryers. We're going to ask Scott what kind of equipment he needs to have, if he could have anything over there at Big
That's a good question.
But we're going to talk to Ryan Reed, though, apparently first. So we'll take a break. We'll be right back after this.